Okay, Carl, thank you very much once again for joining us. Our listeners wanted to have a little more insight on what actually went down between Donald Trump and Elon. How did they get together? And now, what's between them?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so normally I don't talk about American politics because it's so stupid. But since you ask, I'll give you my 2 cents. And so Elon, he basically helped Donald Trump to become president. I mean, he bought Twitter. That act itself, helped the Trump campaign a lot because Trump was being censored on social media left and right, was Twitter, Facebook. Like the Biden administration was trying to make Trump a non-person, in the social media space. This is why Trump had to start, choose social. But then comes Elon. He bought Twitter, and where he claimed he restored the freedom of speech, which basically allow all the MAGA people to return. And he personally invested a lot into Trump campaign. He put a lot of his money into the Trump campaign. And for a while, the two had a honeymoon. We saw Elon Musk with his children in the White House, and then there was a fallout, right? The Doge basically folded. Elon is now out of White House, and he had a very bitter public feud where he posted that Trump was on Epstein's list, right? I mean, look, it's not that's like not new revelation. I mean, he obviously knew that from the very beginning. He only when there was a bitter breakup, he decided, oh yeah, but did you know Chow? He was he was involved in the Epstein, child prostitution ring. Um, so why is there a breakout? I mean, from reporting from New York Times and all the liberal media, they will have you think it's a personality clash, right? I mean, there might be some truth to that because both of them have very large egos. Trump would in no way and shape want to be overshadowed by another big ego guy, Elon. And there's a report from New York Times basically said, Elon has a very public personal personality clash with the Trump staff members. As there's supposed to be a fight between like a literally fist cuff between Elon Musk and Trump's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and where Scott Bessent supposedly punch out Elon and give him a black eye, and so there's that side of the story, and then now Elon is taking to Twitter and saying, okay, should I create a third party? He just created a poll asking if we should create a third party outside of the Democrats and Republican. He called the American Party, and there's a good chance that he might actually do it, put his money behind it. So why is he going through all this trouble? Is it just because a personality clash with Trump? No, of course not. You have to follow the money because United States is a country that's created for the worship of money. So if you follow the money trail, you kind of get most of the story. So let's see what realistically what happened in the first 100 days. The Trump policy was very positive toward Elon's enterprise. I'm talking about Tesla, right? Trump slapped 25% auto tariff on foreign cars and foreign components, and that just basically was put all the Japanese, Korean, and German automaker in a bind, and you actually hurt American car makers too, because a lot of the Ford, GM, a lot of them imports components from China. For especially car batteries, because China dominates the battery field. But Elon, Tesla will also be affected, but Tesla will be the least affected automaker by that tariff because Tesla, they have two operations. They have the gigafactory in Shanghai that's producing for the Chinese market, and then they have the factories in the United States producing for American market. And Elon apparently was planning this for a long time. So his American operation have out of all the U.S. automakers have the minimum exposure to foreign components, and especially even from China. So if when that 25% foreign auto tariff got implemented, Elon Musk Tesla stand to benefit the most because all his competitors are getting killed. They're going to get hurt a lot more than Tesla, right? So everything was looking good back then. That was during honeymoon period. But now what happened is, if you look at what Elon Musk is complaining most about Trump administration right now, he's not really serious about complaining about Trump being on Epstein's island and all that. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about that. What he really cares about is money. Tesla was only profitable in United States because of government subsidies. The Tesla would not have taken off without the U.S. government money. And what the big beautiful bill is going to do, what Trump's big beautiful bill is going to do, he's going to cut off all these subsidies. And that is where the two conflict become like fundamentally irreconcilable, because that's serious. Now we're talking about serious money, right? And because Trump ultimately, he is backed by the big oil interests in the United States. If you look at the traditional Republican money backers, we're talking about the big oil and gas industry in the United States, and they have a vested interest to make sure we don't make the EV transition, right? Which is, Elon is on the other side of the spectrum. He wants to push the EV transition, so more money will come to Tesla, and ultimately, Trump decided to side with the traditional Republican backers, the oil and gas interests. This is why he's cutting the subsidies, and he's cutting subsidy across a wide range, not just for EVs, which have impacted Elon directly, but also for renewable energy. So, all the money that United States government was going to spend on promoting solar and wind power, Trump is taking that away because he's like, we're gonna go hydrocarbon all the way, fossil fuel, baby, drill, baby, drill, right? And this is again to satisfy the big oil in the United States, and you and the even though right now, China, because China, quote unquote, over capacity, China has made solar panels and batteries so cheap. So now for new installation of solar is actually cheaper than the energy produced by fossil fuel. Elon Musk is tweeting about this right now. He's making like, oh, we got to compete with China. We got to move to solar. But most Republican base, the Republican voters, they don't care about that. They're all about big gas cars. They love their American muscle cars. They love gasoline. They don't care about clean energy. They don't care about. They don't care about. Some of them care about electric car, I'm sure, but most of them don't. And this is what Trump know where his base is. So Elon actually made a strategic calculation, but in the end, he lost out because by very publicly siding with Trump, including doing his Heil Hitler thing at the Trump inauguration, he killed off his brand image. He killed off his brand image because the whole Tesla brand is appealing to the environment loving liberals, right? That is a liberal. Those liberals who they love to clean energy transition. These are the ones who are putting out the big money for Tesla, and this is the same in Europe. So right now, because of Elon's association with Trump, a lot of Europeans are now refusing to buy Tesla. Instead, they're buying the Chinese EV now because the Chinese EV are now available in Europe. So they're like, okay, why do we support Elon Musk, who is supporting Trump, who is really like, hate us Europeans? We rather give our money to the Chinese. And so the European consumers, Canadian consumers are making a conscious choice right now to switching out of Tesla, which is bad for Elon. I mean, Tesla, and Tesla is still a good product. I mean, he's still making good cars, but he destroyed the brand. Say a lot of the Tesla's value is not about even technology and that, which is great, but it's actually the brand. Tesla created a premium brand to appeal to a certain demographics. Elon just totally destroyed that brand among his core customers. This is just so he can latch on to the Trump bandwagon, for ideological reasons, of course, but also because he wants to shape policy at United States, at government level. Because Trump also understands U.S. runs on money, right? Like U.S. has the best politician money can buy, so he's literally trying to buy influence and power, but he lost out because this fundamental difference between him and Trump. Because United States, people have to realize U.S. is not a monolith, right? The U.S. is run by 1%, but among the 1%, there's many different factions of the U.S. oligarchs jostling for power. There's like the Silicon Valley tech bros, like Elon Musk, who have a big say in Trump administration. There's Wall Street bros like Scott Besson, who used to work for George Soros, right? But then there's also the big oil, the big oil, and the traditional automakers, the ICE car automakers. They don't want to see Elon Musk eating into their lunch. So eventually, Elon Musk lost out that fight, and this is why now he's talking about putting his money to start a third party, American party. I don't know if that's gonna work or not, but it's Elon Musk. I mean, I'm just so the reason I don't want to talk about American politics because it's so stupid, but sometimes I watch it as entertainment. I mean, for me, it's just entertainment. It's a clown show. It's a circus. The American politics is a circus. But ultimately, it comes down to money. It's a fundamental conflict of interest. When Elon Musk want to push for more renewable energy, he want more solar panels, more switch to solar energy, because he also understand that's going to help him with his Tesla, because if you want to push the EV transition, United States need to build out its electric grid. It need to increase the power generation. But if you look at the actual US power generation for the last 20 years, it's flat. The US is not building more generation capacity. Whereas if you look at China, the Chinese power generation goes up like straight line, right? Because China is adding a lot. China just added more solar in last month, in May. China just in solar power, China added 100 gigawatts of solar capacity. I mean, that's huge. That's like I think that's a power generation of UK for the entire year. People can double check on my stats, but it's a huge number. 100 gigawatts is a huge number, and Elon is trying to use that as justification, as we got to compete with China, we got to build out. But for Trump, it's like, why? We have plenty of oil, we have plenty of gas. Just drill, baby, drill, and also like right now there's also fight for there's also going to be a fight for electricity in the United States, because let's not forget, US right now is also feeding into this huge AI bubble. The Stargate project for OpenAI, the Trump administration had pledged they're going to plow into $500 billion into OpenAI Stargate project. And if you look at what Stargate project and why they require so much capital investment, most of that goes out to build data centers, and where they data centers and buy NVIDIA AI chips. And to power those data centers, it's very power intensive. They're going to consume a lot of electricity. Again, this is why Elon Musk is trying to push for more adoption of solar, because solar energy is cheap right now. It's cheaper than fossil fuel energy. But Trump is having none of that, because again, he understands his traditional backers are the big oil. They're the ones who and a lot of the MAGA voters, they could care less about EV. They they think that's like soy boy
Mm.
liberal
Mm.
agenda. A
Mm.
lot of them think clean energy is liberal agenda. So they
Mm.
hate that shit. They
Mm.
love oil.
Mm.
They love oil and
So,
gas.
Carl,
So
what happens?
this is why we're
Yeah,
go ahead.
what happens when a government makes a billionaire friend and he goes angry? Like he's still got contracts, government contracts. He's still got a business relationship with the American government. He can just like take his Starlink and say, "I'm going home." He can just take his rocket and say, "Okay, I'm going home, not playing anymore." What happens when you get a billionaire who's your friend sad at you or angry at you?
Well, I mean, he did threaten to do that.
Yeah,
He
he
did
did.
threaten. You know what? Forget about going to Mars. I'm just gonna wrap up SpaceX because I'm not getting the government contract.
Mm.
Um, and this is a reality of America. The billionaires hold the ultimate power. We are just talking about which billionaire get to dictate policy here.
Mm.
You either elect one group backed by the billionaires or the other group that's backed by the billionaires.
Mm.
And then average Americans, they don't really have a say in this. It's called a democracy, but it's really an oligarchy. It functions as an oligarchy. It's a bunch of oligarchs that's fighting for power in the top. The rest of the 9%, all we get is just we just get fed propaganda, and all we get just we get this politics as entertainment. There's nothing else we can do but to laugh at this whole circus show. But yeah, but I don't think fundamentally Elon Musk, his space, he's threatened a lot of things,
Yeah.
but his SpaceX obviously still depends on the government contract.
Mm.
He's not going to back out of that.
Mm.
But it does create doubts about the so-called space race that U.S. is supposedly having with China, because first, this is why Elon Musk or China is planning to put a person on the moon in the 2030. And Elon Musk, the NASA also had a similar plan. The first said they're gonna go to the moon like what, this year? What's like this year or next year or 20? That's not happening. And now
Mm.
Elon Musk is saying, oh, let's forget about that. Let's forget about the moon. We did that. We did that back in the 1960s. It's not interesting. Let's just go straight to the Mars, right? So I don't think the United States is gonna win the moon race with China on this one. And I think it looks like China will land a person on the moon first this time around. And whether Elon Musk will get us to Mars, who knows? Because that's still a long shot. I mean, to get to the moon, like we have the technology now, but Mars is a long way off, and China's plan is to actually develop a moon base, where they will have a place where you can resupply, restock. But Mars is a long time. It takes to just travel to Mars. It will take a long time, and come back will take a long time. Who knows? Who knows whether that's going to happen or not?
Yeah. So, how does the other people, like other billionaires, or how are they looking at this breakout between Trump and Elon Musk? I'm sure that, as you're saying, the old oil guys would be pretty happy.
Well, of course, of course. I mean, they're the ultimate beneficiary, Or if you're in the oil and gas business, or if you own oil, gas stocks, or mining stocks right now, I mean, congratulations. You won the lottery. and but this is it's not good for America as a whole. It's not good for the average the average Joe six packs, like because right now we're actually at a point where renewable energy is actually cheaper now, not like than traditional fossil fuel energy. Like solar energy now is cheaper to generate than the traditional fossil fuel power plant, and China is helping to push for this push of renewable all across the world, not just in China. China itself have created massive capacity, but now China is try building solar capacity, solar, hydro, etc. in places like Pakistan, in Indonesia, all across the world in this Belt and Road Initiative. And whereas US is going to end up with kind of old infrastructure, old technology, and and ultimately, when they like to talk about AI a lot in America, right? Because this is what these tech bros, Silicon Valley, care about, because that's where the money is right now, because of the AI bubble. But like I said, the AI race ultimately depends on energy. You need the energy to power the data centers. Ultimately, all economy, it comes down to the price of energy. If you think about it, the industrial revolution happened when humans switched to use fossil fuels to adopt to use coal to build steam engines. Right. That's a big trend. Is a transformational moment for the human history. That's because of the fossil fuel that was able to unlock um, a whole world of productivity, steam engines, steamboat, etc. And then later we switch from coal to oil, right? Between the two world wars. And now the switch to solar, switch to renewable is going to be the next frontier. It's going to push the energy price even lower. So that fundamentally, that is a basis for your economy. Everything comes down to the price of energy and how cheaply you can access it. And the Trump's policy, while it's good for billionaires, it's not good for the long-term competitiveness of American economy, because um, the American industries will get stuck using paying more expensive energy, compared to China. China has the cheapest energy right now among the major economies. Um, United States, at least it has a lot of deposit of oil oil and gas. Europe is one that got screwed because Europe, they cut themselves from cheap Russian gas,
Mm.
and now they have to depend on LNG import from America, more expensive liquefied natural gas from America. So Europe is paying the highest amount among the developed economies right now for energy. Then it's followed by U.S., Japan, and then China has the cheapest source of energy. And this is why I'm very optimistic about China, because they are powering on all cylinders right now, and literally they're they're exploiting the next frontier of cheap source of energy, which is the sun. It's almost boundless. For the longest time, the limitation on using solar energy directly is the price of solar panels. I remember in 1980s, 1990s, super expensive to manufacture those solar panels. But China made it happen. They made the price to come down so much. Now the energy produced by solar is actually cheaper than the energy produced by burning coal or oil. So this is a huge step. This is and what I see is the world is bifurcating. This is going to be a world that's made up of United States and its vassal states like Europe and maybe Canada, all these these willing puppy dogs of US. They were going to be stuck with old technology, old source of energy. China and the rest of the world are powering ahead.